Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We have commenced considering the Pra-krti tattvam of Sankhya and Patanjali philosophies. Sankhya is also accepted in Upanishads. So, the orthodox philosophical systems which speak about Prakrti is not matter as it is in English or other languages. It is not referring to matter as such. But then Prakrti seems to be in material form. The five forms of Prakrti that we experience is Prithvi, Aptej, Vayu, Akash. So actually these are material manifestations for our perceptions, but they are elemental manifestations. And again, the elements here is not as it is described in the physical chemistry of modern science. It should be neither referred to as element nor matter. Prakrti is Prakrti. So Prakrti is a technical term, but for convenience we have been rendering Prakrti into matter and Prakrti into elements. But that doesn't justify. Because matter is as opposed to energy, or of a form is called energy, and of the same another form is called matter. This is what the modern physics tells us about, that energy gets transformed into matter and matter gets transformed into energy. And therefore, matter and energy are not watertight compartments as far as the higher physics is concerned. Similarly is the case of matter here, the Prakrti here. So, for the purpose of proper education, we should never render Prakrti as matter or Prakrti rendered as elements. The Prakrti is Prakrti. The Prakrti literally can be translated into English language as creative matter, Prakrti. And then if we look at the Prakrti's manifestations, we certainly understand it is creative matter. Now, the matter of physics cannot be creative. There is no creativity in the matter of physics. There can be creation out of matter of physics, but then it itself is not a creative matter, but Prakrti would be literally meaning as creative matter. Now, creativity is not in matter, creativity is in intelligence. Creativity is in sentience. Creativity is not in insentient. So, therefore, Prakrti, although it is called Jada, it cannot be considered as inert in English, to be precise there. So, this enunciation that I am giving today is so important to really understand Prakrti in perspective. The Prakrti, made of Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas or of the nature of Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas, the Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas are fittingly rendered as Sattva Guna as potential energy, Rajo Guna as kinetic energy, and Tamo Guna as the static energy. So, if we have to understand in the light of modern physics and modern academics, Sattva guna will be potential energy, Rajo guna will be kinetic energy, and Tamo guna will be static energy. Or Sattva guna as essential energy, Rajo guna as activity energy, and Tamo guna as inert energy. Now, it should be understood that in the Oriental thought process and the metaphysics, the Prakrti is also rendered as Maya, as Adi Maya, Maha Maya, Adi Shakti. Prakrti is Shakti. So, Shakti is a form of energy, and exalted form of energy, supreme form of energy, is called Shakti in the pantheon of Vedism. So, that's how the Prakrti is, and in the philosophical system, there is something called as atheistic Sankhya and theistic Sankhya. Theistic Sankhya you get in Upanishads, such as Shvetashvara Upanishad, you get it in Vishnu Puranam, and you get in many other texts where, or even Bhagavad Gita, there is mention of Seshwara Sankhya, Ashtatha Prakrti of Bhagavad Gita, or wherever Bhagavad Gita refers to as Prakrti, refers to something as Prakrti, it is reference to Seshwara Sankhya. The Trigunatmika Prakrti is also spoken of in Bhagavad Gita. Trigunatmaka Prakrti. Or Bhagwan Sri Krishna says that Prakrti is my Maya. It is my power. So, there is belonging of Prakrti to very Bhagavan. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durantya. So, the Prakrti has been described in Bhagavad Gita as Daivi, godly. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya. And then it is his Maya. It is Bhagwan's Maya. So, in the Seshwar Sankhya, we can understand that not only that divinity is accepted, but the divinity is the source of all creation, and therefore the divinity itself has a form of Prakrti or Shakti from which the whole cosmological unfoldment takes place. Even in Brahma Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yadaha, that is, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution is all from Brahma Tattva. That is, the Brahma Tattva itself has a facet of Prakrti, and from that the whole universal phenomenon gets unfolded. And then the creation, maintenance, destruction is a constant process in Prakrti. So the point is, in Seshwar Sankhya, the Prakrti is altogether different, and it cannot be rendered into as element or as matter, as is the case in modern science. Something is described as matter and something is described as energy. So, Prakrti as a Shakti principle should be understood that Sattva Guna stands for potential, or essential energy, the Rajoguna for kinetic energy, and Tamoguna for static energy. So therefore, if you look at Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas as three forms of energy, then the idea of Prakrti being matter is set aside because it is a form of energy. So therefore, we are now embarking upon this very interesting topic in the metaphysics of system of Patanjali, that the Prakriti is being spoken of. And finally, I once again say that this should not be rendered into English as matter or elements. Prakriti is Prakriti. So precisely it is creative power. It is a creative power in the universe that is called Prakriti. So, from the Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas, which are denoted by Patanjali in the Sutra Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Sheelam or Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Sheelatvam, Prakasha Sheelata, Kriya Sheelata, and Sthiti Sheelata. So these are all energy manifestations. And then what unfolds from this source matter called Prakriti, from creative power, the creative cause of universe. From creative cause, we get the phenomenon of universal nature by way of Sthula Panchaka, Sukshma Bhuta Panchaka, and then the 24 principles of Sankhya. So Alinga is denoted as Prakriti, primordial cause, primeval cause, and the creative power. And from creative power, we get first the Buddhi Tattva, then Ahankara Tattva, then Sukshma Bhuta Panchaka on one hand, then Sthula Panchaka there from that. On the other hand, we have Indriya Panchaka and Karmendriya, Jnanendriya Panchaka. So the entire universal phenomenon opens out in the form of Bhautika Srushti and Indriyatmaka Srushti. Bhautika Srushti means the nature that we see, which we declare to be insentient. So we consider mountains, boulders, rocks, oceans, water bodies, and the sand, and then outside the earth, the planets and stars. We think that they are all insentient. But the metaphysics of Indian philosophical systems do not endorse with this idea that it is insentient creation and then the life in the form of amoeba and from tiniest bacteria to dinosaur to human being, it is all sentient. So we tend to classify the sentiency and insentiency. And we try to put into bracket of sentiency the life forms and insentiency as non-life forms. But for metaphysics, it is not proper. Although there is classification called Chetana Chetanatmaka, Chetana Chetanatmaka, Chetanam Achetanam. The Achetanam is also immanently permeated, or there is immanence of life principle, Atma Tattva or Paramatma Tattva or Ishwar Tattva, or the Vasudeva who resides in all the manifestations of any kind, of any form. He resides in all atoms and particles and matters and lives. So therefore, Paramatma is described as Chetana Tattva. Now, if that is immanently there in all so-called inert matter, it really cannot be classed as inert aspect of creation, because the divinity is not only all pervasive but sarvantariyami, residing in every single atom. So when the Paramatma is immanently there in anything, it doesn't stand logical to declare anything as inert, actually. So that's for a functional classification sake, it is classification called Jada Chetana, Chetana Chetana, or Chetana Achetana, or Jiva Srushti, Jada Srushti. So this is just a classification for functional purpose and functional sake. But if the divinity is immanently present in everything that is in the universe, we dare not say that there is something that is lifeless, because the Paramatma is residing in all particles. Nothing is something where the Paramatma is not residing, or Paramatma is not a centric force. It is not only residing, but it's a centric force. It is antaryami, it is internal governor, it is internal regular, it is informer. So, that is the metaphysicist's view in Oriental philosophical systems. Anyway, so the Pra-krti unfolds in the form of Bhautika Srushti or Indriyatmaka Srushti. The functional classification comes here that it is either Jada Srushti or Chetana Srushti. The Chetana Srushti is considered to be having signature condition that there are senses. Indriyatmakata. Indriyas are needed for all living creation. You will not come across a living creation which is bereft of Indriyas. And therefore it is Indriyatmaka Srushti which is pointing out at the living creation. Chetanatmaka Srushti, Jaivi Srushti, Jiva Srushti, and the other one is Jada Srushti. And this is functional classification. So that is Bhutendriyatmakata. Then it is Saprayojan or Nishprayojan. So that is clearly expressly mentioned as Saprayojana, that there is purpose behind any kind of creation, be that seem to be non-living or seeming to be living, seeming to be here or seeming to be everywhere, anywhere in the universe. There is always a purpose. Nothing is purposeless. The archetypal mind has not created something which is purposeless. The human creation can be like that it doesn't serve the purpose, or it goes against everybody's purpose, or it doesn't have any purpose. But the creation of Almighty, the archetypal mind, there is nothing which is waste, not even a particle of creation which is so vast and immeasurable, not even a particle is waste. It is all with prayojanam. It is all with purpose. Whose purpose? The purpose of Purusha tattvam. The purpose of Atma tattva. The purpose of the self, which might manifest in so many forms. You and me have a self. It doesn't mean that cattle and animals and beasts don't have self. They too have a self. Tiniest bacteria to dinosaur, everything has a self. That's the Atma Tattva. So, what is the purpose then? The sutra tells us bhogarthata and apavargarthata. Bhoga pradhanatvam and apavarga pradhanatvam. It is either to bestow, bhogam. Bhogam means what? Sukha dukkha moha. So, Sukha dukkha moha are dispensed, which become bhogam for all living creation. The living creation will be always seen either happy or sad, or delighted or sorrowed or deluded, infatuated. So Sukha Dukkha Moha will be always found in all the living creation. You will not come across living creation which doesn't have Sukha Dukkha Moha, or delight, pain and infatuation, or delight, sorrow and infatuation, delusion. So the bhoga is coming in the forms which are shanta, ghora, moodha, sukha, dukkha, moha, or delight, pain, delusion, or delight, sorrow, delusion, or pleasure, pain, delusion. So this is signature condition of all living creation. So that is the purpose. The other purpose is apavarga pradayakatvam. That is to give salvation and liberation to living principle, so that from mortality it goes to immortality. It attains immortality from being in mortality, precisely. So, as the Upanishads have said and we have heard about it, Mrityorma amrutam gamaya, Mrityormam amrutam gamaya, Tamaso mam jyotir gamaya. So, that is apavarga. The other part of that is apavargam, amrutatvam, amaratvam, jyotirmayatvam. So that is salvation and liberation. What is actually immortal has become seemingly immortal, and then one that is overcome, seeming condition is overcome, and one is in essential state, that is called apavargam. So that is the prayojanam. And that is the teleology. Teleology will explain, and of course we will be considering what is bhogarthata, what is apavargarthata, what is bhogam, what is apavargam. In due course we will be trying to understand that. But another thing that we need to consider, that the sutra, the 2.18, is describing drishyam. As I said in the last session, drishyam has two meanings. One is technical meaning here, the other one is popular meaning here, literal meaning. Drishyam means seen category. When you can see mountains and rivers and stars and planets and things, you say that is seen category. So with reference to visual organ, we usually take something as seen. That is one literal meaning of drishyam. But here it is a technical term, drishya, is manifestation coming out of the trigunas. But then it is not just manifestation outside for us, for our perceptions. So merely gunas, trigunas are not drishya varga. And therefore, the philosophers in yoga system tell us that drishya varga is not only referred to the gunas, the gunatraya, but entire guna parinama. The entire guna parinama, entire effect rolled out by trigunas is drishya varga. And they are rolled out up to what? Up to bhutendriya parinama. So everything that is rolled out up to bhutendriya parinama is drishyam. It should be noted that bhutas are not visual objects for us. We cannot see bhutas. We cannot see prithvi tattvam, ap tattvam, teja tattvam, vayu tattvam, akasha tattvam, or we cannot be seeing the prithvi mahabhuta, ap mahabhuta, tej mahabhuta, vayu mahabhuta, akash mahabhuta. So these are not visible objects. We cannot be citing them. And yet the word drishyam has come here. Therefore we have to understand it's a technical term. Up to bhutendriya parinamas, it is called drishya category. And this drishya category, again let me tell you here, we should not render it as seen category in English, to be precise in our education. So we should not venture to render drishyam as seen category, because seen category has a limited meaning. It has reference to visual organ, visual perception and visual objects. But the reference here is not to visual objects. It is more pervasive concept. And therefore we must continue to mention the drishya category. And the drishya category is opened out in the following sutra, the 2.19. Vishesha Vishesha Lingamatra Alingani Guna Parvani. So that will explain out what is real drishya category, what all does it include. So the drishya category will be defined in the next sutra. Therefore we need not be hastening to delineate on drishya tattvam here itself. Let us reserve it for the next following aphorism. So we can straight away proceed to what Bhashyakara Vyasa is telling us. So he first makes it clear, as I have been telling you, Prakasha Kriya Sthiti Shilam is referring to Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas and not something different and something else. And we have already seen why he has used these words and why Patanjali has not opted for Sattva-Rajo-Tamatmakam. Why he has opted for Prakasha and Kriya and Sthiti, we have taken some preliminary understanding of it in our previous session. So Vyasa makes that clear. Prakasha-shilam sattvam, kriya-shilam rajaha, sthiti-shilam tamaha iti. So Vyasa makes it clear that it is not something other than Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Guna, but it is verily the Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas which are referred to by the terms, technical terms, Prakasha, Kriya and Sthiti. So when Vyasa is in the opening statement making this clarification, inquisitive mind gets a question, then why not Patanjali himself mention it? So one gets little perturbed as to why Patanjali himself has not brought reference to Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas when he is meaning to refer to them. So in order that we should not be perturbed, Vyasa makes this clarification that these are namely for Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas. Patanjali is referring to their swabhava, Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Guna, their nature. The Sattva Guna, therefore, is Prakasha Swabhava, Rajo Guna is Kriya Swabhava, and Tamo Guna is Sthiti Swabhava. The intrinsic and inherent nature of Sattva Guna is Prakash, illumination. Then of the Rajo Guna, it is Kriya, that is activity. And Tamo Guna, it is Sthiti, that is status quo or statism. So Patanjali is mentioning to their nature. Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas is a nomenclature. Is description of it is just nomenclature of entities. What Patanjali is mentioning the swabhava, the nature of three gunas, which is respectively Prakasha, Kriya, Sthiti. Now the Prakasha, Kriya, Sthiti or Sattva-Rajo-Tama is the material cause, the first material cause, original material cause for Srushta and Asrushta universe. That which is already there and which is yet to be there, or which has gone past to latency in the universe, because in the universe you have something which is existing, something which has gone to latency, and something is potentially there yet to come, yet to arrive on scene. So therefore it is something Srushta or Asrushta. Srushta means there to see, Asrushta means not there to see, having gone to latency we cannot see, and having yet to come to actuality we cannot see. So the seen and unseen aspects of Pra-krti are of the first and original material cause of Sattva, Raja and Tamo Gunas. So in philosophical system it is called Upadana Karanam. The Pra-krti or Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas are Upadana Karanam, or material cause of universe. Precisely the first and foremost material cause, the original material cause. Now it is important to note this particular specific description, that original material cause. Because if you are wearing cotton clothes on your body, then if it is cotton clothing, well, the material of it is cotton. But the cotton is not the first cause, because cotton comes from something else. So there are previous causes for the cotton material of a cloth material. The cloth is made up of cotton, but the cotton itself is not the first matter. It comes from something else. There is a cause behind the cotton, piece of cotton. Then there is a cause behind that cause. So there is a chain of cause or chain of causations, and therefore the Pra-krti that is being mentioned here should be precisely considered as the first and foremost original material. So whatever is the material for the matter which is around us, we say this is metal, this is plastic, this is rubber. Now that has a cause. So there is a previous cause to that. Then there will be a previous cause to that cause. There will be a previous cause to that, even that cause. So we have to deduce and go back to first and original cause. And the first and original cause of anything in this universe, whether it is solid matter or liquid matter or gaseous matter, or whether it is atomic matter or whether it is subatomic matter, the first and foremost cause is being referred to. The science doesn't go to first cause. The physics doesn't go to first cause. And therefore there is a branch which is called as metaphysics, which goes beyond physics. The physics ends at particle physics. So that's the terminal condition of physics. The physics ends there. So it will refer to proton, neutron, electron, which you get to know in particle physics. But then that is not the original cause. Because even for modern science, the creation took place with a big bang. So they are not referring to the first and original cause at all. They refer to something as Big Bang. Where was the Big Bang? With what was the Big Bang? There should be something for Big Bang. There should be two things for a bang. Or there should be a thing for a bang. And that, if you are trying to go beyond the causation of the Big Bang, then it will be a metaphysics. So, point is, this creative cause, Pra-krti, is upadana karanam. In the sense, the first and original cause of everything around us and everything in us except the Atma, Purusha. Everything has a cause. And then everything has a first cause, and the first cause for everything and anything and all things is Pra-krti. So therefore, the upadana karanam means first material cause is Pra-krti. It is also called pradhana karanavadam in philosophical polemics and philosophical language. It is called pradhana karanavada. So, Patanjali is also admitting Pradhana Karanavadam. But let me make it clear, Patanjali is not endorsing with Pradhana Karanavadam as postulated by the Sankhyam of the Shad Darshanam. It is Seshwara Sankhya, therefore we get the classification called Seshwara Sankhya and Nirishwara Sankhya. But point is, the Pradhana Karanavada is accepted, endorsed by Patanjali. He is also postulating Pradhana Karanamvada. Then he is additionally telling us that behind the Prakrti, whether there is purpose or no purpose, he says there is a purpose. Whose purpose? The purpose of Purusha Tattvam. So, at this stage, we come to a prima facie view that whether it is Saprayojaka or Nishprayojaka, and that is being answered by Sutrakar himself, that it is Saprayojaka. It will be interesting to look into Yoga Vartikam of Vijnana Bhikshu. He says, Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gun ete Prakrti Shabdavachyaha na tu tad atirikta Prakrti asti. So he makes a more emphatic statement for us to properly conceive this, construe the concept of Prakriti. He says, Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gun ete Prakrti Shabdavachya. The reference is to Prakriti itself. When Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas are mentioned, it is not mention of Gunas, but it is mention of very Prakriti. And there is no Prakriti apart from Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas. Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas themselves are Prakriti. Prakriti is Sattva-Rajo-Tama, and Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas are Prakriti. So, Pradhana Karanavadam has been mentioned. Prakriti Karanavadam is being mentioned. So, Vartikar Vijnana Bhikshu makes a very emphatic statement for us to really understand this way. So there's another nomenclature to Prakriti. Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas means Prakriti. They themselves are Prakriti. They are not qualities of Prakriti. They are not attributes of Prakriti. But they themselves are Prakriti. Prakriti Shabdavachya tells us that the Gunas themselves are Prakriti. It is not that the Gunas are quality of Prakriti. Gunas are not attributes of Prakriti, not characteristics of Prakriti, and not qualities of Prakriti, but they are Prakriti by themselves. And in Sankhya parlance, it is referred to as Pradhana as well. Or Prakriti. It is referred to as Prakriti. So what is Prakriti is Pradhana. What is Pradhana is Prakriti. What is Sattva-Rajo-Tamo is Prakriti. What is Sattva-Rajo-Tamo is Pradhana. And we should understand this position of the philosopher here. Patanjala's that Prakriti itself is Pradhana and Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas themselves are Prakriti or Pradhana. It should not be construed that Gunatrayas make Prakriti or Gunatrayas are of Prakriti. They are not of Prakriti, or Prakriti is not by them. Prakriti is neither by Gunas, Gunatrayas, nor Gunatrayas are attributes or characteristics of Prakriti, but Gunatrayas themselves, by themselves, are Prakriti. So Guna Samuham, Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas, is itself Prakriti. So that is what Vijnana Bhikshu makes a clarification. So why Patanjali has not used Pradhana, why Patanjali has not used Prakriti is set aside, because in Sankhya parlance, Gunatraya itself means Prakriti, and therefore there can be no objection in the way that Patanjali is not referring to Prakriti. They themselves, the gunas themselves, are Prakriti. Now, the point is we have to understand Prakriti itself is Pradhana Tattva and Prakriti itself is Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas. But then Prakriti is more wider term. It's not absolute synonym. It's a wider term. In the Sankhya parlance. And you get to see this, you get to know this in Aniruddha Vritti of Sankhya Sutra. The Sankhya Sutra 5.30 and 31. So there we are told Sattva-Rajo-Tama Samyavasthopalakshitam Sattvadi-trayam va Prakriti. Gunasamyavastha is also Prakriti. Guna-Vaishamyavastha is also Prakriti. So in Gunasamyavastha you won't have Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Guna denoted, because then they are in equal state. There is equanimity, equilibrium. 33.33 each. 33 1/3 each. That's called Gunasamyavastha, which is the condition or state of deluge or non-creation. There is no creation. So, although Prakriti is a creative cause, the word Prakriti, it also has the expanded meaning that Samyavasthopalakshitam is also Prakriti. So whether it is Srushti or Pralaya, whether it is creation or dissolution, whether it is phenomenal creation or noumenal state, it is all Prakriti. But in Prakriti of deluge, you can't say this is Sattva, that is Raja, and that is Tama. This division is not there, cannot be said to be there when it is equilibrium. Prakriti Samyavastha is also possible in Prakriti, as much as Prakriti Vaishamyavastha, Guna Vaishamyavastha. So Guna Samyavastha, Guna Vaishamyavastha is to Prakriti. But we are referring to the Vaishamyavastha, the creative phase. And therefore, that is one of the reasons why Patanjali has not used the word Prakriti. Because Prakriti is also including a deluge phase or phase of dissolution, or the noumenal phase of the universe is also Prakriti. And therefore, for precision's sake, Patanjali has not used the word Prakriti, although he is referring to Prakriti. So, that is what we need to understand here. So, Guna Samyavastha is equilibrium of gunas, and Guna Vaishamyavastha is disequilibrium of gunas, and the disequilibrium of gunas will give you the diverse forms of creation in the universe. That you have nebulae, you have stars, you have planets, you have galaxies, you have satellites. Then you have so many things on the planets, mountains and oceans and rivers and forests and woods and whatnot. So the diversified creation is all of Sattva-Rajo-Tamo Gunas coming in different proportions and coming together in different process. So that is what the creation is. And the Moola Pra-krti is also referred to as Pradhana tattvam in Sankhya philosophy, very technically. So, in Nkhya Kosha, which is the dictionary of philosophical terms, the Pradhana and Prakrti are synonyms. Pradhanam is said to be Moola Prakrti. So you get an entry in Nkhya Kosha, Pradhanam Moola Prakrti iti Sankhya Ahu. The Sankhyas say that Pradhanam is Moola Prakrti. Moola Prakrti is Gunasamyavastha. And then the Pradhana, you get the etymological meaning of Pradhana, which Vijnana Bhikshu gives in his Yoga Vartika, which is thus: Pradhiyate asmin karya jatam ityadi vyutpatya pradhana prakriti shabdadi uchyanta iti. So from the whole cause and effect chain unfolds. The first starting point of it is called Pradhana Prakrti. So these are certain terms of Sankhya philosophy with which we need to become familiar when we are going for educative process here and not just informative process. So the point is the Gunatrayas themselves are Prakriti, themselves are Pradhana Tattva or Prakriti Pradhana and Pradhana Karanavada. So these gunas denote Prakriti by such derivation as all effects are supported in it, and they are denoted by such words as Pradhana and Prakriti. So with this being very, very terse matter and dry matter, I think we should take a pause here and we will proceed from here in our next session. So, namaskar all of you.